Sairam, everyone. Just to recollect what we discussed last week before we proceed. Swami is talking about the concept of God enumerated in the Vedas. Swami is talking about how the world viewed what the Sanatana Dharma was. Even though Sanatana Dharma has had the concept of one God, Ekeshwara, from time immemorial, the Western scholars who looked at the Vedas, looked at the Samhitas and so on, felt the Indian thought had initially started with many gods. From many gods, it slowly evolved into one God. Swami also expressed that the Saguna Sakara, that with attributes and with form, Ishvara is also supreme. Though the Samhitas limited the concept of God to Ekeshwara of Saguna Sakara, the rishis were not satisfied, or they proceeded further, and Swami says that they showed such daring, valor, and courage, and with their fierce efforts, they expanded their understanding to include even the formless one. And those were the things which we discussed, read and discussed. I think Swami wants us to understand the history. After all, this the Sathya Sai Vahini is for Swami's devotees, the followers of Swami, and Swami wants us to be aware of the history and how the Sanatana Dharma thought is also perceived from those who are from the West, who may not be trained with the ideas of Sanatana Dharma. So I think it's also warning, also it's knowledge that such pitfalls also can come. And I think that's Swami's way of educating us. Because there are many Indians who have sort of gotten caught up in the Western way of perceiving Sanatana Dharma itself. And I think to clarify to some of them, or to all of them, Swami has put this down on paper. And Swami is expanding. So we will continue to read where we've left off. So I will ask the sisters to start from where we left off.
Did we want to continue on the last paragraph of this slide, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think we went paragraph by paragraph, if I remember.
So we'll read just the second paragraph here.
Okay, second paragraph we can start.
The One, in him alone is all this flux, all this changing cosmos established. He is the guide and guardian of every consciousness. All such denotations touch only the fringe of the One. Westerners said that the intelligence of man can succeed in this venture. But the seekers of this land showed a heroism that could not be measured or limited. This is a fact that cannot but be accepted. Western philosophers, renowned for their daring flights into the realms of the spirit, have shown only a tiny spark of this heroism. So they are amazed at the speculative and experiential heights reached by the sages of India. This feeling of wonder has been charmingly expressed by Professor Max Mueller. Into whatever unknown realms of experience their causative and positive inquiry led them, the Indian seekers ventured boldly therein. They never hesitated to discard, for the sake of success in this adventure, whatever they felt as an encumbrance. They were not affected by fear of how others might judge them. Max Mueller exhorted people to involve themselves in Bharatiya Paramartha Vahini, the nectarine stream of the search for the Supreme flowing in India. For he felt the Indian sadhakas pursued the path of right, the path of truth.
Thank you, Kalyani. Auntie, Telugu, I think, did we read all this? No, I guess. No, not everything.
We did read.
Nijamuga Sanhita Kalam, that is it that from there it starts? No.
Yeah.
Huh?
It starts from there, but we did translate it last week.
We did translate? Okay, then that's fine.
Okay.
If there's so we will stop here. So Swami is talking about the daringness of the Indian thought, specific philosophers or rishis who are able to expand their understanding without fear. With daring, Swami uses such words. They were not worried, afraid also. I think that comes from some confidence in their understanding of the Lord and the fact that the Lord will guide them. I think that's what I would say. I will stop here. If anyone would like to.
This particular sentence, Western philosophers renowned for their daring flights into the realms of spirit have shown only a tiny spark of this heroism. So Swami is talking about Max Muller here.
I don't think so, Auntie, because later on Swami is, where is Max Muller mentioned in the Telugu?
Telugu it is mentioned here. Next, Deenine Professor Max Muller Manoharanga Palikeno.
Yeah.
Oh, it comes there later, I think.
Yeah, so
yeah.
I don't think Max Muller may have stated this, but I think Swami is just referring to general Western philosophers who are able to also I think seek the truth and whatever they have done. I think that's what Swami refers to, is my understanding.
Can I read this Telugu?
Yes, Auntie.
దీనినే ప్రొఫెసర్ మ్యాక్స్ ముల్లర్ మనోహరంగా పలికెను. సహేతుక విచారము ఈ ధీరులను ఎంత అపరిచిత భావక్షేత్రములకు కొనిపోయినను వారెచ్చటికి పోవ సాహసించిరి. That's what daring flights here, what Swami here.
So Swami says, Max Muller has explained this very beautifully. He says, this the cause, the inquiry into the causation. Sahetuka means anti-causative or what?
Yeah, to find out the cause.
Yeah, the cause, inquiry into this cause. When they searched for this cause, the origin of this, I think, human existence itself, they showed great valor and daring to go anywhere where they had to go.
Yeah.
Which means even in areas where people have not ventured before. I think that kind of thing Swami says.
Swami says that people like philosophers like Max Muller have tried to go into the realms which others have not ventured into. That's what Swami says. లోకులు తమను గూర్చి ఏమి చింతింతురు అని వారికి బాధ లేదు. They are not worried about others.
They were not even worried about what others will think about them.
వారికి ఏది యుక్తమని తోచునో అదే సత్యమని ఏది సత్యమును తోచునో దానికై ప్రొఫెసర్ మ్యాక్స్ ముల్లరు లోకులకు భారతీయ పరమార్థ వాహినిలో ప్రవేశింపమని ప్రబోధించెను.
So Swami says they were not troubled by anything. Okay, whatever others thought, whatever they felt is the best or the most optimum, whichever they believed to be the truth. For that, they were able to. So Danike, Professor Max Muller, because of that, Max Muller is saying that everyone should actually enter into this
భారతీయ పరమార్థ
Vahini of Bharatiya Paramartha.
Yeah.
This the Bharatiya Paramartha and the river of the supreme goal of the Bharatiyas. That river, everyone should enter. That's what he tried to teach others.
Yeah.
So when earlier Swami was saying the Western philosophers, they thought that it was just a primitive culture, believing in many gods. So, but there are exceptions. I think, is that what Swami's trying to say? Like Max Mueller?
I think Max Mueller, because Max Mueller, one of the philosophers who was tasked with studying Indian philosophy,
Yeah.
though, because I think basically the church actually appointed him to study the Vedas and translate them. And the reality is that he was tasked with finding issues with the Vedas and bring it to light. That was the task which he was tasked with. So he was caught in the middle, in the sense, though he found it to be very elevating to study the Indian scriptures, his employers were not necessarily supportive of that venture. But I think to the extent possible, he tried to explain to anyone who would listen. But he was limited in his capacity to do whatever he had to do. I think that was the issue with Max Muller.
Yeah.
So I will stop there.
He was responsible in translating Rig Veda Samhita to German. He was from Germany, so he was an Indologist and he was a philologist also. So he has done a wonderful job of translating Sanskrit Rig Veda Samhitas into German language as well as other languages, I think. Saira.
Right. If everyone is, I don't know if anyone would like to discuss any point. If not, we can.
The line, I think it was in the previous paragraph where Swami saying they felt there's nothing higher than the Saguna Sakara form in the Ishvara Bhava.
Yes.
So I think were you saying that because when Ishvara is there, it's not the non-dual state, that there's already, you're in duality there? So in that state, there's nothing higher than Saguna Sakara?
So I think the Swami uses the word Ekeshvara Vada.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the Ekeshvara Vada means the supreme reality. Is the one God is supreme reality. Okay. But I think what Swami says is in the Samhita, it was not as expansive. Later on, they were not satisfied with that understanding of the Ekeshvara. Then they basically try to expand him, and then they describe that as who has many forms, he was all pervading, he is within every heart. That kind of understanding they came to. So in the Samhita, even though the Ekeshvara was present, which was the highest, the understanding of that one God was very limited. And so that's what they stretched and expanded to understand that one God actually pervades everything in this world, and there's nothing else in this creation other than that one God. I think that's what Swami is talking about, which became expansive, because they were not satisfied with the descriptions in the Samhita, from what I understand.
So in the previous sentence when Swami said Ishvara Bhava, is that the same as Ekeshvara Bhava?
Yes, Ishvara Bhava is Ekeshvara Bhava only.
Oh, okay.
Sairam,
Yes, Auntie.
when Swami says, Nijamuga Sanhita Kalamu Datuta Todane, Samhita Bhavamuna Nindiyuna Ekeshwara Bhavamo, Paniki Malidaniyo, Vedantulukunu, Jignasulukunu, Adi Adarnarvamu Kadaniyo, Talisi, Antakanna Tatvikamunu, Antakanna Lokatitamuno, Bhavamunu, Sadhinchike Bharatilu Patupadi. So already the Ekeshwara, the concept of one God was already there in the Samhita time.
Yes.
But why did they venture into that field where they were not happy with the Ekeshwara Bhava?
Because I think they were not satisfied because they felt it did not cover that absolute God, who's all pervading, was not present in the Samhita. That bhava was not present.
Bhava.
Okay, so that because the feeling of the Samhita verses was such that it was not very expansive. And Swami says that they felt they were not satisfied with that, and they felt It was not supporting their understanding of the Vedanta. So because of that, they ventured to describe him as all-pervading, all-encompassing, and so on. So I think the understanding which was expressed in the Samhita was limited, which was further expanded by the rishis. So we should understand that all these were just rishis were passing on for the common man to understand. But I think in the way of expressing it to the extent possible, the Samhitas did not do justice to express what their understanding of the Ekeshwara was. So because they felt that the Samhita Bhava, the feelings expressed in the Samhita was limited, they took it, they stretched it to expand it further beyond what was in the Samhita. I think that's what Swami says.
So basically what Swami wants us to understand is, it is that Nirguna Brahman, absolute, the absolute, they were Sagunakara Brahman, they were not happy with that. They had to expand it to further to go to that Nirakara Nirguna Brahman.
Yeah, even I also auntie in the Saguna Sakara, Samhita also limits to Varuna, and each of the gods. But when you go to Upanishads, they talk about Tat.
Only Parabrahman.
Tat. So that Tat, Parabrahman, which is much more expansive than a single god, Varuna, or, I think that's what, because it was limiting to some extent. They removed such vocabulary from the Upanishads. Actually, in the Upanishads, God is Tat, Sat, like that,
Yeah.
That's the way it is referred to. That Ekeshwara was given a different, description in the Upanishad, which was much more expansive. Even from a Saguna perspective, with the entire creation itself, he spanned, before that it wasn't so. At least it was not coming through clearly in the Samhitas. Okay, Kalyani?
Yeah.
Shall we? I think we can. Swami is expanding further and further.
Yeah.
Oh, Narmada, are you available to read?
Pardon me?
Okay.
You go ahead, Kalyani. I will have to switch to the car soon.
Oh, okay. Ekam Sat Vipraha Bahudha Vadanti. One alone is, the wise speak of it as many. This indeed is the most sublimely meaningful. This is the basic truth behind the spiritual efforts of India since ages. Even the theistic principle and practice that will spread all over the world with unprecedented benediction in the coming years have as their basis this great axiom laid down by the sages of India long, long ago. Riks arose on various deities and divine forces because the rishis knew that the one that alone is can be cognized by each one only from his own viewpoint, and that it is different for different persons depending on the stage reached in clarifying and purifying the vision. They announced through that statement their discovery that the one is the subject, which all the sages and saints and seers and poets, hymnists and composers adored and praised in various languages, during various moods, through various styles of expression. Thus, from the declaration quoted above, Ekam Sat Vipraha Bahudha Vadanti, emerged consequences of the highest value to the world. For example, many are surprised that India is the one country where religious fanaticism is absent, and no one hinders or harms the religious observances of another. There are in this country theists, atheists, dualists, non-dualists, monotheists, and others. They all live together in peace and harmony without causing suffering or injury.
Thank you, Kalyani. Aunties, we can read the Telugu.
Ekam Sat Vipraha Bahuda Vadanti. ఉన్నదా ఒకే వస్తువు, దానినే ప్రాజ్ఞులు వేరు వేరు పేర్లతో వ్యవహరింతురు అని ఈ వాక్యం నందు ఇమిడి ఉన్నది.
the truth is one. Ekam Sat, Vipra Bahuda Vadanti, the learned will express it in many different ways.
ఈ
This statement from this work, that's what is inherent in this word, in this statement. Okay.
ఉన్నది ఒకే వస్తువు, దాని ప్రాగ్లు పేర్లతో వేరు పేర్లతో వ్యవహరింతురు.
So through different names they are being described.
ఈ కారణము మహోద్దాత్త రూపమైనది.
This cause is that of a form which grants many things, a great granter.
మహోద్దాత్త రూపం, it takes a very sublime form.
Yeah, sublime form.
Yeah, మహోద్దాత్తం, ఉదాత్తం, మహోద్దాత్తం.
Udatta itself is highest. Mahodatta means such much greater heights.
భారతదేశమున అనంతకాలమున ప్రబలిన ఆధ్యాత్మిక విచారణమంతయు.
Okay.
Sorry.
In the Bharata Desha, country of Bharat, from ancient times, whatever has the spiritual inquiry which has been prevalent,
ఈ మూల సూత్రము మీదనే ఆధారపడి ఉన్నది.
it is dependent on this root sutra, okay, which is the root sutra, okay, or the root principle, we can say.
Yeah. ఏకం సత్ విప్రావదంతి. భావి కాలమున లోకమున ఎచ్చటనేని ఏని విస్తరణం పొందున్నా.
Bhavi Kalama means ancient time, auntie.
In future, future.
Okay, Bhavi Kalama. So in the future, in this world, wherever wherever it spreads, expands.
ఆస్తిక ధర్మ విచారణమంతయు కూడా దీని మీదనే ఆధారపడి ఉండగలదు.
Okay, Swami says in the future also, in this entire world, wherever this thought will expand, it will all be dependent on this root principle.
Basic principle, yeah.
Basic principle.
ఈ వివిధ దేవతలను గూర్చి రుక్కులు రచించిన వారి దృష్టిపథమున నిలిచి ఉన్నది.
So this variety of gods regarding whom the Riks are explaining or describing is all based on each person's vision. It's dependent, or it's based on each person's vision.
ఒక్కడే దర్శించువాడు.
The one who is perceived is only one.
అనేక మంది భిన్నతకు కారణము.
The many other reasons for the differences.
ఒకే ఏకైక పురుషుని గూర్చియే స్తోత్రకారులు, ఋషులు, కవులు వివిధ భాషలో వివిధ వాక్యాలతో వివిధ భావములతో గీతికలు రచించిరి.
About this only, the single one Purusha, all those who have composed stotras, prayers, the rishis, the poets, have expressed this in very different languages, through different statements, with different feelings. They have sung and expressed this.
భావ పై వాక్యము నుండి అనగా ఏకం సత్ విప్రాహ బౌధావనంతి అను వాక్యము నుండి మహోత్కృష్ట ఫలితము ఆవిర్భించినది.
So from this statement of Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti, something which is Mahotkrishna and Utkrishna.
Supreme, Utkrishta.
Utkrishta, same thing, same meaning, I think.
Yeah, Mahotkrishta.
Supreme Halitamu means some supreme benefit. Results have come about.
మతమూలకమగు హింసలు
So the violence due to religions,
మతానుష్ఠానమునకు అవరోధము కల్పించుటలు,
their opposition to the practice of religions,
కలుగనిది భారతదేశం ఒక్కదాని అందే అగుట,
such things did not take place only in the Bharat country.
కలుగనిది భారతదేశం ఒక్కదాని అందే అగుట కొందరికి విచిత్రముగా తోచవచ్చును.
Many people may find it perplexing or surprising that such practices were not prevalent in the country of Bharat.
ఆస్తికులు, నాస్తికులు, అద్వైతులు, ద్వైతులు, ఏకేశ్వర ఆరాధులు ఈ దేశమున కలరు.
In this country, there are people who are believers, who are non-believers, who are non-dualists, and those who believe in one God. All of them are present in this country.
ఎన్నడు కాని వారికి ఉపద్రవము కలగదు.
However they are, for them there is no trouble. Sorry, auntie.
Sir, ఉపద్రవం, trouble, there will be no trouble for them.
No trouble for any one of them in this country.
That's it.
So we'll stop here. Swami is talking about Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. And Swami is also saying this truth will spread to all the parts of the world, and this sutra will be the support, basis for all that also. Ekam Sat. So Swami is telling that this thought will spread to the world also something. I'll stop here. If there's anything anyone would like to discuss, please go ahead. Utkrishtam, they are using unprecedented benediction or something.
Yeah.
This the statement Ekam Sat Vipraha Bahuda Vadanti. So does it come in one of the very early parts of the Vedas? Or...
Yeah, so I'm not sure. Auntie, you are familiar with where it has come?
I think most of the Upanishads talk about it.
Okay.
Not a particular way, but this statement, this Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti comes in. If you want, you can just refer to the.
So it's in the Rig Veda itself, which is apparently present. In the first mandala itself. So Rig Veda, the first mandala, only 1.164.46. That's a reference in Rig Veda, which it's present, this statement. So as you can see, what this thought has been there even in the Rig Veda, where the Westerners found there were many gods. So that's the irony, even though they translated, this was not properly expressed. And they were saying, oh, the Rig Veda people were primitive people with believing in scared of many gods.
Yeah.
The cause of, I guess, some of the violence that we see today in India, is it because people are more removed from this thought nowadays? Or
actually, Swami is talking about it a little later, Kalyani. How Indians became violent. How this, because some of it has become self-preservation. I think that was the reason, I guess. And also the influence of other thoughts. I think Swami is discussing it later, so I will not
Yeah, correct.
Read that.
About that.
If everyone is okay, I think we can proceed. I think it's Swami is basically stating what Swami has already stated.
Materialists stood on the steps of temples held sacred by Brahmins and resorted to by them for worship, and defamed and denied God. They called upon all to follow them. They declared that the idea of God is but an insane fancy. They condemned God, scriptures, codes of morality, righteousness, and guiding principles, and said that they were all superstitions designed and developed for selfish aggrandizement by the Brahmins. They roamed across the land and propagated these conclusions, and no one hindered them. Buddhism, which systematically slighted Hindu rights and religious beliefs, was allowed to coexist in an atmosphere of respect. The Jains, too, did not accept the Vedas and the Vedic gods. They asked in derision how such gods can exist and be believed in. Examples of the spirit of tolerance rooted in the revelatory statement quoted above are innumerable. Until the ravaging Muslims sprang on this country, no one in this land of Bharat knew what was meant by violence. It is only when foreign hordes fell upon them and resorted to violence that the people came to know how intolerant man can be.
Okay.
Thank you, Kalyani. I think the question you asked, I think, is a bit
Answer.
answered here, but we'll do the Telugu translation.
సాయిరామ్ బ్రాహ్మణుల ఆరాధనా దేవాలయములు మెట్లపై నిలుచుండి
In the temples where Brahmins worshipped, standing on the steps of these,
టెంపుల్ దేవుణ్ణి దూషించుచు ఖండించుచు జడవాదులు బోధలు సలిపిరి.
the people who are atheists or who believed in the world, gross world, Jada Vadulu means that Swami has used.
Arun, జడవాదులు here materialist, they have
Materialist. Okay.
materialist, and I feel it is Charuvakas.
Charvakas, exactly. Thank you, Auntie.
Charvaka.
The
జడవాదులు బోధలు సలిపిరి.
So the materialists stood on the steps of the temples where Brahmins worshipped, and they abused God and also criticized.
Yeah. ఈశ్వర భావము కేవలము భ్రాంతి అనియు.
The belief in God is just delusion.
దేవతలు వేదములు ఆస్తిక ధర్మము వాటి సూత్రములు తమ స్వప్రయోజనార్థము.
So the gods, Vedas, and the dharma of the believers, and all the sutras or the principles, they were all for the selfish or self-interest of the Brahmins.
బ్రాహ్మణులు కల్పించిన మూఢ విశ్వాసములను,
they all foolish beliefs or superstitions which Brahmins have imagined.
వారు దేశమంతయు తిరిగి ప్రచారించిరి.
These people, materialists, went around the country and propagated that thought.
అట్టి వారికి ఎవరునూ ఆటంకము కల్పింపలేదు.
For no one objected or inhibited any of these people who did this.
హిందూ సంప్రదాయములను తిరస్కరించుచు వచ్చిన బౌద్ధ మతము కూడా
the Buddhist religion which rejected the practices of the Hindus.
Yeah, even they were Hinduulu గౌరవించిరి.
So even these people were respected by the Hindus.
ఈశ్వర భావమును పరిహసించుచుండిన జైనులు విషయము కూడా ఇట్టిదే.
Even the Jains who were laughing or laughing at the belief in God were also treated in the same way.
దేవుడు ఒకడు ఎట్లుండగలదు?
How can there be a God?
అది కేవలం మూర్ఖ భావమై ఉండవలను
That's only a foolish belief.
అని వారు పలికిరి.
That's what they stated.
ఇట్టి ఆదర్శములు అనంతముగా ఉదహరించవచ్చును.
This kind of views were endlessly prevalent.
We can illustrate such.
There can be many such instances can be described or examples can be shown which are unlimited in number.
మహమ్మదీయులు మహాకల్లోలముగా ఎగబారి
when the Muslims came, Kallolamuga means who brought lot of
agitation, sir.
Agitation. Okay.
ఎగబారి వచ్చుదాకా
until they came with such
మత విషయక హింస ఇట్టిదని కూడా భారతీయులకు ఎవరనూ ఎరుగురు.
Bharatiyas never even understood what was violence until that time.
విదేశీయులు వచ్చి తమపై ప్రయోగించినప్పుడే భారతీయులకు ఆ విషయము పరిచితమైనది.
Only when these foreigners came to Bharat and used this kind of violence, then only the Bharatiyas understood that there is something called violence like this.
Yeah. This next sentence, క్రైస్తవులతో
I think it's the next paragraph, auntie. It's not covered.
Okay, only Muslims.
So I'll stop. So Swami is telling this, the religious-based violence and such intolerance actually came about when the foreigners, or mainly Swami said Mughal, so Muslims invaded the country. And that is when they knew that violence and such practices are prevalent in humankind. I think that's
before these other Muslims came, these Jains and Buddhists, they also propagated the idea that there is no belief in one God or anything. And they did not accept the Vedas also. Vedic gods were all rejected by them.
But Swami says there was no violence even at that time.
There was no violence.
They were not obstructed in doing what they were doing.
Yeah.
They had a free reign and they went around the country to doing that. But still there was no violence. But Swami says violence came about only when Islamic invaders came and
even though Jains and Buddhists came up with the idea that they did not believe in the Vedas, but there was no violence as such.
They were not resorting to violence. So because of that, I don't think there was violence to oppose them also.
Not at all. But Hinduism accepted both these. In fact, Buddha is supposed to be the 10th avatar after Kalki, one of the avatars. Buddha is supposed to be. And the Jains, the first propagator of this religion, was actually a cousin of Lord Krishna, it seems.
Mahavira?
Mahavira. Right. Tirthankaras, the first Tirthankara, Rishabhadeva.
Rishabhadeva, oh I see.
Rishabhadeva. He was one of the cousins of Lord Krishna.
Okay.
One question here, please. What is referred by the Vedas and Vedic God? Which one they are referring to? Because we are seeing that Vedic gods, Vedas, like as one and everything, the Lord pervades. What is this really referred by here, please?
So I think sister is asking what are the Vedic gods? Because we thought there was only one God. I think that's a question. Why is Swami saying Vedic gods here? So which are these gods? It's the
Indra,
question.
Varuna, Agni, Vayu, all these were the devatas were worshipped by people at the Vedic times.
So Vedas are Purusha Suktam, we have Vishnu, and then Shiva, all is there, right? So
No.
which one is referred here? That's my confusion here.
Okay, anyone? This is like Vidiya Ram Kada. But, so, but anyone who would like to answer? Okay, maybe I will go first.
Yeah, so please go ahead.
Sister, in the Vedas, there are many names of gods described.
Yeah.
Okay, so they are gods in the sense they are also divine beings. But the thing is, these divine beings are all encompassed by that one God. Okay, that's what Vedas saying. It's that we are also many. I'm different from you, you are different from Mani Auntie, and so on. So there are many. The multiplicity exists in this creation.
Yes.
But the Vedas describe all these forms of gods,
Yes.
which people visualized or worshipped. They are actually representation of the same one God. That's a separate issue.
Yeah.
But the idea that whether there's one God or many gods, whatever Vedas spoke about, because if you take the Samhita talks about many different gods. But the one who understands, that is in the aparipakva stage, that is unripened stage, people see many gods. So there's nothing wrong with it. But the thing is, the real Vedantin understand that there's only one God who is seen as many by many people. But all these were rejected by giants. Okay, in the Vedas, there are many gods and there is one God.
Yeah, we are
Many
talking
gods are
about
the same God.
we are one, right? So
Yes.
what is the time?
So
But
that's
Rama, Krishna, Shiva, and Devi, they were all later on. When the Puranic times came, after the Vedas period, when we had that Itihasa and Purana, those times we come across these devatas, Rama, Krishna, Devi, Maruti, and Agni. I mean, all god forms which we worship now, Shiva. So they later on these gods were worshipped.
Yes. Yeah, because I was trying to understand like Vedas talk about multiple different gods. At the end, we are seeing as one, as many, okay? Many as one again. That is the Vedas and Vedic gods. So we are seeing multiple at the same time. In multiple, we are seeing oneness. So one Ikeswara Tattva, we learn that, right? So that is what Vedas and Vedic gods are. So Jains, I don't know what their belief is, but Buddhism, they believe in that one Buddha. So I was thinking, it's all covered in Vedas. What is this Vedas they are talking about? Kind of only I didn't understand. It's okay.
Sister,
Yes,
I think people have okay. Sai Satish, I hope you are. Please educate.
Yes, Anna. So I was just going to say
Louder,
that.
please, louder.
Yeah, is it fine now, Anna?
Yes.
So in essence, I think Bharatiya culture or Bharatiya Samskriti always looked at the unity in the diversity. So even if Buddhists, Jainists, anybody came with a different thought, they always knew that it is that Ekam Sat Vibra Bodha Vadanti, or it is that aspect they are trying to refer to that same universal Godhead. So ultimately, what is described, whether it is in the Rig Samhitas or later on, anything that is coming, it is always in the uh, thought that the Bharatiyas had was referring to that absolute God. So it is like Swami would always give that example of Mysore Pak. He'll say when you break a piece from that Mysore Pak, that small sweet, that is also Purnam, and what from which it has been broken, that entirety is also Purnam. And Swami would always keep saying Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate. So in terms of what, even if the gods like Varuna, Agni, Vayu, whoever was invoked in the Rig Veda, the essence of that god is that small piece of that sugar candy or Mysore pak or some sweet that have been broken away from the big piece, more of a connotation that or referring to that absolute sweetness, which is why even if the Buddhists came and told about their what they felt as Godhead, or the Jainas refused or refuted the process of accepting a Godhead, ultimately the essence was pointing to that sweetness of Godhead. So ultimately, that is how Bharatiya philosophy accepted, or it could take in, because it is the ocean. An ocean can always take a river or a pond or whatever water is coming, or even the sea. It can subsume all of it into it. It accepted that thought process, and that is how they could coexist independent of different lines of thinking, because all of the tributaries or rivers finally meet the ocean. So that kind of a unity in diversity is where the Indian philosophy of thought could subsume every other thing and still coexist until and unless, I think, the Mughal invasion changed much of that.
Thank you, Sai Sudesh.
So brother, I think the Veda, the Jains people didn't understand. That's why they are rejecting.
They don't want to understand.
That's that. Now I got the point after.
They
Yeah.
rejected Vedas completely. People of
Because
China,
they didn't understand.
they didn't understand. They didn't accept the fact that the Vedas originated from God. They did not believe in what the Vedas were saying.
Yeah.
So that caused all this problem. Yes,
Okay.
Auntie.
Yeah. In fact, little history behind Jainism and Hinduism, Buddhism. That is, before that, in the name of Hinduism, lots of Narabali, the human sacrifice, and then animal sacrifice were very prevalent in those days. People got really tired of these things. At that time, Jainism and Buddhism started propagating this idea that non-violence is the first thing what all of us have to follow. And this appealed to everyone. Buddhism and Jainism insist that there is ahimsa, always ahimsa there. So that this led to the rise of Buddhism and Jainism. They are in fact branches of the main Hindu religion. They're really although they don't believe in Vedas, most of the things whatever is taken is only from Hinduism only. That's how Jainism and Buddhism became very popular in those days.
But ahimsa always followed in the Vedas, right? But that's a misunderstanding of that is the Narabali and all, right?
Yeah.
So that is all. But it's also the Buddhism or Jainism crop up because of their misunderstanding of this Narabali, right? Because that's not the one Swami that's not the one Vedas are talking even, right?
No, a time was there when yagas and yagnas were conducted. But to pacify those gods, they started sacrificing animals. So this practice of some animal sacrifice was not accepted by all people. So that's how Jainism first came, and then Buddhism followed.
Okay. But I'm saying that whoever giving that value also, that they didn't understand what they are doing, right? So that is a something is missed there. Then the other thing.
So what is happening is something called the baby in the bath water. So instead of throwing the bath water, baby is also thrown. So the Vedas, yes, were misunderstood by some people, which is a fact. But the thing is that misunderstood category became majority, a large number. So as a reaction, Jainism and Buddhism cropped up. Okay, as a reaction to this, so people who did not study the Vedas, who thought, oh, Vedas must be the problem. It's even today's world, people will say religion is bad. Because of religion, there's violence. It's not because of religion there's violence. It is people who don't know religion, who, in the name of religion, who are fighting. They are causing more damage to the religion. And that is the problem. Nothing wrong with religion. Okay, people's understanding is the problem. But because of that, even in some of the Sai circles, we will say Sai organization is spiritual but not religious. Okay, though Swami has said religion and spirituality are the same. So many people today, it's almost a fashion to say, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. When if a person makes that statement, they don't understand both. Because Swami will say religion and spirituality are the same. So the thing is, people throw away religion because there are a few people fighting in the name of religion. So it's the same, it's similar reaction by some quarters in the population, which gave rise to Jainism and Buddhism. That's the reality. So they thought Vedas was the problem. Like in Tamil Nadu today, they will say Manu Dharma Shastra is the problem. So it is not too different. Okay, so this is being talked by people who don't know ABCD of what Manu Dharma Shastra is. They have never looked at it, or they have read translation which some people with vested interests have translated. That's the problem. So.
In the name of religion, in fact, Brahmins were conducting, they thought themselves they were superior to everybody. Always they said so. And they were taking advantage of the religion and spreading unnecessary superstitions and this kind of sacrifices. All these they started practicing. That brought about a change in the whole society. And this Buddhism and I mean, first Jainism came and then followed by Buddhism.
Thank you, Auntie. If everyone is okay, we can. These are just statements Swami has made. I hope we have understood. We can move.
Hindus helped Christians to build churches in India. They showed readiness to cooperate with Christians. This is evident all over the country. There was no bloodshed at any time in dealing with Christians. The stream of thought directed to the supreme truth would not allow itself to be polluted by violence. To confirm this fact, as well as to understand the validity of this attitude, requires clear thinking and strength of intellect. Buddhists, who were the very first propagators of religion, spread their faith by traveling over the world. That religion entered all countries, famed in those days as civilized. The monks who ventured into those lands were tortured. Hundreds were killed by imperial decree. But soon good fortune smiled on Buddhism. Buddhism taught that violence had to be eschewed. Buddha was accepted as a god, as another name for the One, which has many names. According to the Vedic dictum, Ekam Sat Vipraha Bahudha Vadanti. He was Indra, he was Rudra. That was the unifying effect of the basic revelation of the sages. May this declaration be ever in the memory of man.
Sairam Auntie will.
Okay, Sairam. క్రైస్తవులతో సహకరించుటకు భారతీయులు ఎంత సంసిద్ధత చూపినది నేటికి కూడా విస్పష్టంగా కనిపించున్నది.
So the cooperation by the Hindus with the Christians to build their temples, their churches, is today also it can be very clearly seen.
రక్తపాతం ఎన్నడూనూ సంభవించలేదు.
There has been no bloodletting or
Bloodshed.
in any kind in this
వీటినన్నింటినీ పదిలపరచవలెనను భారతీయులు పరమార్థ వాహిని చక్కగా అర్థము చేసుకొనవలెను. సారీ, దిస్ లాంగ్ సెంటెన్స్. వీటినన్నింటినీ పదిలపరచవలెనను. అంటే స్ప్రెడింగ్, ఐ థింక్.
In all this, to spread to this thought, this idea,
భారతీయుల పరమార్థ వాహినిని చక్కగా అర్థము చేసుకొనవలెను.
one has to understand the properly what is the flow of the river of the Bharatiya Paramartha thought.
విచారణ శక్తి, బుద్ధి బలము అవశ్యము.
For these, inquiry, the ability to inquire, and also an intellect, discriminating faculty and strength of discrimination is equal important.
It's necessary. మత ప్రచారములు లోక సంచారమునకు ఉపక్రమించిన మతములలో,
in the religions which have tried to spread themselves or propagate themselves around the world,
బౌద్ధ మతము మొదటిది.
the Buddhist religion was the first.
అనాగరికమున పేరొందిన ఆనాటి దేశములు,
in uncivilized countries of those at that time,
అన్నింటిలోకి బౌద్ధ మతము చొచ్చుకొని పోయినది.
for all these countries the Buddhist religion spread.
చీనా దేశమున మత ప్రచారకులు హింసింపబడిరి.
In the country of China, these propagators of Buddhist religion were hurt or came across violence.
కొందరు చక్రవర్తుల ఆజ్ఞలచే వెనవేలు వధింపబడిరి.
So many of them, due to the command of the kings, were put to death. Sorry, auntie.
వధింపబడి, they were killed. కానీ పిదప బౌద్ధులకు అదృష్టకాలము వచ్చెను.
But afterwards, for the Buddhists, successful period, good times came about.
బౌద్ధ మతము,
They were lucky.
అదృష్టకాలం వచ్చెను. బౌద్ధ మతము హింస వలదని ప్రబోధించెను.
The Buddhist religion is without violence. Its eschewing of violence was taught.
అంతయు ఏకం సత్ విప్రాహ బహుధా వదంతి.
All this is ekam sat vipra bahudha vadanti.
అతనినే ఇంద్రుడనియో రుద్రుడనియో పేర్కొందురు.
He is called the Indra, he is called Rudra with those names also.
ఈ వాక్యము యొక్క ఫలము కావున దీనిని అందరూ జ్ఞాపకమందుంచు కొందరుగాక.
Everyone should remember, may everyone remember the fruits of the results of this statement.
వాక్యము యొక్క ఫలము కావున దీనిని అందరూ జ్ఞాపకమందుంచు కొందరుగాక. We must remember.
We should always keep it in memory.
Yeah.
This statement, so that we can realize the results of this statement.
Yeah. Stop there.
Swami is going into Bharatiya history of how things evolved and what were the challenges which people faced. So Swami is saying, see, the Hindus never propagated religion. Buddhism was the first religion which started propagating itself across all countries. They wanted to spread this message to everyone. So, and in that they faced lots of problems.
In fact, it reached Sri Lanka and
Yes, all countries, Far East,
many Far East.
even in the Middle East and so on, West Asia.
Even now they are still flourishing there in those countries.
In pockets in some countries, because afterwards Islam went to all those countries and uprooted. So though Buddhism in India, it did not thrive much.
Not right.
In the English, it says that Buddhism spread to all the civilized countries.
Uncivilized is anagarika is the word which Swami has used.
Anagarika.
Uncivilized.
Yes, so I know it's a big complete difference in translation. Swami has used the word anagarika, that means uncivilized countries. Because I think what Swami is saying is those countries did not have spiritual thought. So that was one reason Buddhism spread to those countries. I think that's what Swami has said.
I think China had Taoism, no? Before even
Yeah, they had Confucianism, Taoism. They
Taoism.
also had multiple thought processes, but Buddhism was able to spread there, which was to some extent it was similar to their thought also. So there was some similarity. So I think it was easy for it to spread there.
But in Sri Lanka, even now, Buddhism is very much prevalent.
Yes, yes, that is because of people from Bengal came. So Ashoka Chakravarti, his children came to, because the connections, because they were all connected by language, linguistic connections. So there was contact.
Ashoka was the king of whole North India then when he sent his daughter and son to spread.
Yeah. Sangamitra and
Sangamitra and what's his name?
they brought the relics of Buddha. Okay.
What is the sentence in all this? To spread this idea, one has to understand properly what is the river of Bharatiya Paramartha thought.
Which line she is asking?
So Swami is saying, Antayu ekam sat vipra bhagavata vadanti antanne. Oh no, before that I think.
Which line, Kalyani, please?
I think it's Viti Nanintini Padila Paracha.
Oh, Ada Padala Parachuvana.
Viti Nannintini Padila Paracha Vale Nannanu భారతీయుల పరమాత్మవాహిని చక్కగా అర్థము చేసుకోగల వలెనన్నను. See, Swami says to understand this, okay, to understand in all this, Padila Paracha, I think that's auntie.
Yeah. எந்த லைன்ல இருக்குது
Viti.
వీనినంటిని పదిల పరచ
Yes.
పదిల పరచ వలనను భారతీయుల పరమార్థ వాహిని చక్కగా అర్థం చేసుకొని వలనను విచారణ శక్తి బుద్ధి బలము అవసరం. So, the inquiry into this Bharatiya Paramartha Vahini, it needs a lot of discrimination, and it is necessary for people to understand. If at all they want to understand, they need this buddhi balamu vicharana shakti.
Is there something that's saying it to spread the thought?
Yeah. To make it clear to others, padila parchu. If they want to spread it and then explain it to people.
See, yeah, Padila Paracha also means preserve, protect, and safeguard. So Swami says if we have to safeguard this,
Bharatiya Paramartha Vahini,
all this what Swami has explained, and if we want to understand the Bharatiya Paramartha Vahini, we should have good inquiry power And we
And
should have discriminative power also.
buddhi balam, intellectual ability.
Yes.
We need to understand this.
See, but I think Swami is sort of saying, in India, this was lacking. This has been lacking even today, because our understanding of the Bharati Paramartha itself is very limited.
Yeah.
And we have not inquired and studied it properly. So because of that, we are unable to even preserve this. Preserve and protect. Padila Paracha, that means unless we study it and understand and inquire, we will not be able to keep it alive. I think that's what Swami is saying.
Brother, is this understanding is right then? The Buddhism also accepted where the Vedic Vedas has been accepted, where they have seen many gods, and this is one of the god they accepted because it's a one god. No, otherwise they is a Vedic thing, right? Otherwise they won't accept as a god, as another name of God. Only they accepting it, right?
Who is
The
accepting?
Buddhism, it says accepted as a god, as another name for the one.
No, the
So only in
the Bharatiyas accepted Buddha as another form of God, not Buddhists. People.
no, not Buddhist.
Yes.
Buddhist was against, but the people who ever accepted the Buddhism in the other country also, they accepted as another name for one god, right?
Yeah, maybe.
But the Sanatana Dharma was not prevalent in other countries. That's why Swami has used the word anagarika. They were not sophisticated, they were not refined. So they just accepted whatever was taught by the Buddhist monks who went there. So they don't have the concept of God or gods, Vedic gods or anything. The Buddhists were not teaching Vedic gods there. Vedas were not prevalent in those countries. That is one reason Buddhism spread to those countries and remains even today.
Today.
Because
But what is the sentence here? Buddha was accepted as a god, as another god for the one.
that is for people in Bharatiya.
Bharatya. Okay.
Bharatiyas who believed in Ekam Sat Vipra Bhagavadandi, they accepted him also
As God.
an
Yeah.
avatar.
Yeah, but in the Buddhism where they spread the message, they didn't have the understanding of Vedas then. So they took it as one. Okay. So they were against the Vedas. Thanks.
In the Telugu, did we come across that
Which one?
Buddha was accepted as a god?
So I think, see, Swami, what he's saying is, Antayu Ekam Sat Vipra Bhagavadani Vadanti Atanine Indrudani Peru Konduru. Bautamadu hims.
Bauddha matamanu kuda Hinduvulu gauravinchidi. That's all. Not accept. There is no mention of Bauddha being a god was accepted by other. But Bauddha matamu, the religion was accepted by Hindus, and it was given enough respect.
I think what you are saying, Buddha was accepted as God, is not mentioned.
Not there here. Telugu, Swami, what he said. Hindu సాంప్రదాయములను తిరస్కరించుచు వచ్చిన బౌద్ధ మతమును కూడా హిందువులు గౌరవించిరి.
They respected even the Buddhism which rejected Hindus. They still respected him, the Buddhist religion also.
Hindu rituals, sampradayam. Yeah, Hindu rituals, Hindu.
So even in those ancient times, people didn't understand the Bharatiya Paramartha. That's what's led to all this, So
see, the number of people always ranged in their maturity and understanding, which Swami here also saying. Even the various forms of God which were described were based on each person's understanding of what they saw. So I think people were in aparipakwa stage at all times, from ancient times till today. People have not so good understanding of the Bharatiya Paramartha. I think that's what Swami is saying. So that has not changed. In the society, there will always be people who do not understand it fully. So that's a reality. But that is, it's like, if even if it takes this Sri Sathya Sai organization, there are hundreds and thousands of people who go to the centers, do bhajans and so on. Have everyone made an effort to study what Swami has made? I think that's the question. So such people will always exist as long as the earth exists, or as long as Sai centers exist. So it's the same thing. Their understanding may be limited to what they already know, what they want to know. So I think in ancient times also such people were present, and today also they are present. But that they do not define what Swami is. Only someone who studies and so on will inquire. As Swami said, Buddhi Balamu Vicharana Shakti. We have to make efforts to understand what he has taught. Only through that basis we will understand who Swami is. But the reality is the world will define Swami based on people who say that they portray themselves as Swami's followers. I think it's something similar in the Vedas also. Many of them saw different gods and different names. I hope, I don't know whether I answered your question or went off.
Yes. So I guess if there's not that understanding, then it can lead to more division and factions and be more easily
Yes.
conquered by others.
So that is the reason I think Swami wants us to learn, Swami wants us to understand properly. There will be still division, there will be differences of opinion and so on. But see, generally people without proper understanding saying this is the Sai practice. This is what Swami wants. This is a problem which causes damage to the organization also. Okay, and such things will exist as long as people exist, and people who have not made efforts to study what Swami has taught. So this is the reality. So what can we do? We can only try to educate people, and people also should have the responsibility to study and learn what Swami has taught properly. So this is what this whole purpose of Swami writing all this is, that we have to make effort. Swami says, see, even to study, there should not be any fear. There should not be, Swami says, sahasam, you should be daring. Because what you believe in, what is truth, you should stand up for it. So I think, see, if we lack fear, that means we really believe in what we say. If you're afraid, we don't. So I think Swami, see, these are the reasons why Swami is writing this, because Swami wrote those. See, for example, Swami says this thought will spread to other countries as well, to all over the world. But wherever it goes, Ekam Sat Vipra Bauda Vadanti should be there. Swami says. So that means, but the same problem came, everyone is making it Sai organization, a Hindu organization, these thoughts also came up. So, so all this teaching is actually for us, not for the world. We are studying what Swami wants us to learn, and that's all matters. And I think that's the reason Swami goes into such detail to describe all this, so that we have proper understanding. We make effort to understand, and we stand by what is the right and truth. I hope. Yes, Sairam, Sister Shiva.
On that, what you are saying, it's so, now it explains that how, in the beginning we have studies, all these religions are mushrooms coming out of this Sairam. Just a minute. So it's all mushrooms, right? So I'm thinking Science Center is at the Science Center. Sometimes some of us Sri Sai Center is all about bhajans. So those sets of people just create their own group. Those who bhajan resonates with them and they think Sai Center is all about bhajans. And some other people take different part of Swami's teaching that creates their own group. So I'm just thinking, as you said, that within this organization, because whatever resonates with people, they take that part and they create their own group. And I think that's what I kind of making those parallels that other religions, they took some part of Sanatan Dharma and then created a religion, whatever resonates with them. Oh, this makes,
Yes, yes.
resonates with us. So just throwing out there.
Yes, right, sister. You're very right. Swami has sort of, seen that and already written all this for us to understand.
And for us as well, like whatever activities happen at the center, that's a very minuscule part of the whole, Swami's teaching. But the bigger part is what we are reading here, just to see, Ek Tattva, like Ekam Tattva. That's where we all are striving, that encompassing everybody and bringing everybody into a fold and respecting even though there are divisions now, even though we meet some other people, we still need to respect what they believe in. So, yeah.
Sairam, sister, Sairam.
Not only Buddhism and Jainism came and taught people, the materialists, Charuvaka is the most unorthodox religion of these three are supposed to be. They started playing on the weakness of people, saying that, here is this world. We have got lots of things to enjoy. Let us enjoy. Not even think of anybody. They're Nastikas, complete Nastikas. This also had an influence on the people's minds, that attitude of.
Yes, Sai Satish, please go ahead.
Hi, Ramana. I was just going to allude to what Sister Shivani also was saying. We have that poem which we learned, right? That blind men and the elephant. Each one of them touch one part of the elephant and claim that is what the elephant is. But ultimately, what the elephant is completely different. So, of course, if you see with the Jnana Chakshu, then you see the whole elephant and you realize that it is what that Ekam Sat is. But then if each one holds on to their thought process and say this is what the elephant is, the elephant, if hold on to the leg and say this is the pillar, or hold on to the tail of the elephant and say it's like a rope, or the trunk, like, so in terms of interpretation and the thing, when I wouldn't belittle it to that effect, but then in the overall scheme of things, it comes subject to interpretation and the of how every individual perceives. But in the larger picture, if one is connected deeply to the Paramatman, then the overall thing of the interconnectedness and being a holistic framework emerges. So just wanted to share that.
Yeah, thanks, Ashish. I think it's very correct, because things will mushroom, but we need to know what the mushroom is a mushroom. I think to that level, we need to understand what is going in the right path and what is not going in the right path. Because otherwise, see, the Hindus did not become Buddhists. They let them also survive. But the thing is, they did not say, okay, now we will study Buddhism, and then because there will be some conflict of ideas also. So I think for them, Vedas were the source. Sanatana Dharma always went back to the Vedas. The Buddhists definitely did not rely on that. So the Bharatiyas, I think the way they dealt with it is they respected as human beings and let them do whatever they wanted. And that's why Swami says when the Christians came, they helped them build the church. So as long as there is tolerance and coexistence, everything is fine. But sometimes I think that we should differentiate between genuine search for truth and people misleading others. I think there's a lot of difference between misleading others and genuine faith. And I think that's where we have to be vigilant, because that's also an equally important part of what any devotee would do, I would say, Saira. Yes, Brother Yoga.
Sir, that's what they say. The religion, the whole world religion, is going to vanish. Is the little bit left over in India. All the religion who came from their countries is still in the India because they don't have fear to have their follow their religion. Can you hear me, Anna?
Okay.
We can hear you.
Are you saying something or is I faint?
Yeah. Wait, I have to turn off my Bluetooth.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, brother. Please go
Yes,
ahead.
because the all part of the world, the religions they were kicked out from the country, it still exists in India as a sample. It's not in the country where it came from. When I read about that, I was really surprised and shocked because it's India holding all the religion. They are right. They are what they're doing right, and they give them room. That's what I want to say. Thank you, sir.
Yes, brother. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Auntie Sakhu.
Yes, Sai Ram. Misleading innocent people, isn't it karmic? It will bring karma to the people who are leading the innocent people into the wrong path.
Yes, I'm sure, sister, auntie, anyone's karma they will have to face the consequence of that karma. And so ultimately, that's what it is.
Maybe they are ignorant about karma.
I don't know what to say.
Sorry, Uncle.
Yes.
So can you explain why this thought of Ekam Sat Vipraha Bhuta Vadanti, why that was not a cause for kind of the downfall of the violence? And because, whenever somebody came to the country, they just said Ekam Sat Vipraha Bhuta Vadanti, and they tolerated them. They helped other religions grow. And so, how do we, because if you just tolerate everybody,
I think violence comes only when you impose your own belief on somebody else. A person who believes all beliefs are valid will not necessarily cause harm to another set of belief. So once you believe that their belief also will have some validity, maybe not the same validity as what we follow, but they am sure it's valid. I think that was the thought of Ekam Sat Vipra Bhaguda Vadanti. Again, we should understand the person who is speaking should be a Vipra. Okay. See, all kinds of people can say something. The Vedas don't say anyone will say something. It's only saying Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. That means people who are learned, people who are of high caliber, who say describe it in different words. So just because anyone says something doesn't merit that as a Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. I think that's another thing. But overall, what they believed was if there was a system of faith which is prevalent, they accepted it. That also gave it some validity. Because I think as going back to what Sai Satish said, that's another blind person trying to measure the elephant. And that understanding was there, I think, among the Bharatiyas. So because of that, they had a live and let live practice. That's my understanding. I will stop if anyone else would like
is
to.
there some line that they drew in terms of their tolerance, like when the Mughals came, like what Swami was saying?
Very, very, I think they did not draw then, but now they are drawing, because generally Adharma was condemned. It has to be dealt with. Any practice of anyone which does not fall under the category of dharma was dealt with, number one. They also did not, I think today people are saying intolerance is also something which should not be tolerated. Intolerance should not be tolerated. So that's the line which they draw. Anyone who is tolerant will be tolerated. Anyone who is intolerant will not be tolerated. I think that's a line which people are trying to draw nowadays, I would say.
Yeah.
So I will stop here.
Moreover, violence was, they took the help of violence and tried to convert people forcibly, coercing people to accept the other religion. That is that is where the problem started.
They did that?
Of course, they did. They forced people.
Yes, I saw one of the video. They're holding the knife over the head. The lady, they convert the religion. And another innocent, the same religion person, he took that TikTok video and post it everywhere. Because he don't take it because he don't like that way the people could convert. And other people are crying. They put all kind of ready dress and everything. They are crying other side because they already converted. This one refused. So they're holding the knife over the head. So terrible.
Brother, the forced conversion also I don't believe. I'm just because of discussion. I don't see that. It's all mind, right? So where's the force comes? I don't know. It's all mind. You can be living anywhere and anybody can force you. But at the end, what is your mind is doing? So that's why I'm saying there's no force, but always, I think Hinduism accept, Vedas accepted people will tolerate everything in that perspective only. Because, it's all mind, right? Because I don't think in outwardly you can do something for
Aruna, physical torture was practiced by people who wanted them conversion to take place in those days. It has happened. Tortured. People were tortured to accept other religion. That is,
outwardly you can change something, but inwardly it's all yours, right?
if a person is big-minded, he cannot help or she cannot help it.
Yeah. But I just wanted to say that no force can be done for the religion. Thank you, Saira.
Saira.
Okay, it's 4:29.
Okay.
So I think we can we'll stop for today and we'll continue next week. Sairam, everyone.
Saira.
Om Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sairam, everyone.
Sairam.